Welcome to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. I'm your host, Shannon Ables, and whether you're listening on your commute, exercising, working in the garden, or sitting down with a hot cup of tea or a café au lait, thank you for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome to the 244th episode of the Simple Sophisticate. And welcome to where I am sitting was a snowy Bend, Oregon this morning. And now we have blue skies paired with that snow-covered streets and trees. As I'm sitting here taping, I'm watching my neighbor who is shoveling the snow, but out in the sunshine, it's about a 34, 35 degree day Fahrenheit. So just a few degrees above freezing. And it's just stunning. I share that because I went on a walk with Norman this morning. This is Sunday morning. And after having written today's episode and prepped it and been thinking about it for a few weeks, it was as if, and maybe I was looking for it. I know that when we look for something where it's more likely we'll find it, good or bad. But there was a moment in our walk this morning at about, 8 or 9. So the sun had been out for an hour or so. And the snow had just barely stopped. And we had easily 4 or 5 inches of snow. It was just starting to drip off the trees. And so it felt like it was snowing again. But then as we were walking, there was a glimpse of blue sky. And I share a picture with in my Instagram followers yesterday, and I will share that picture on today's show notes if you want to take a look at it. Mother Nature communicated what we're going to talk about today. And before I dive into specifically what that observation was as I was walking, I think it'll make sense as I go through today's episode. We're talking about contentment and how we can give ourselves the gift of contentment every day, all day. Yeah, it's possible. So that's what our topic is about today. And this week's Petite Plaisir is a destination online where I have found some items for my refurbished, I guess you could say, office that I have thoroughly found to be highly functional, but simple and easy to use and help me streamline what I'm doing and enable me to focus more on what my priorities are. And just the concept of this business, I'm excited to share it with you. It's not sponsored whatsoever. It's entirely something I just found on my own, and I'm excited to share it with you because I think you might find it something that will fit with your lifestyle as well. So stay tuned, and we'll talk about that at the end. But let's get to today's topic. So we're talking about contentment and how we can have it every day, all day. And I want to begin with a quote from an instance where I was sitting down, I was meditating, and Andy Petite shared this idea. He says, finding an ease with what you are thinking, feeling, the world as it is, not necessarily accepting it, but not resisting it, this is contentment. And I think that's the key part to understand. We don't have to be fighting it if it doesn't work for us, because that's wasted energy. What it is recognizing that it is going on and finding a peace in that moment. And we're going to talk about why you're not being complacent. It's not that. It's just a recognition of what you can do now, what you can't do now, and what you know you're capable of doing as you go forward, but also just finding that calm in the moment and recognizing all of those truths and not getting wrapped up and your energy just boiling over to a point where it's just not healthy and it's not a way to live and live well. So I liked that quote. I'll read it one more time. Finding an ease with what you are thinking, feeling, and the world as it is, not necessarily accepting it, but not resisting it. This is contentment. The truth about contentment is that it is different than being happy. We cannot know what it feels like to be happy if we have not been sad, So therefore, we cannot feel both simultaneously. We can know what they both are simultaneously, but we cannot feel them at the same time. The argument may be made that feeling sad and happy at the same time is actually possible. But that is the definition of a moment of feeling bittersweet about something. And if you examine such an argument closely, that is why we give it another name. We call it bittersweet rather than happy or sad. Contentment resides within each of us, and it is not something that comes to us from an external source, someone loving us, success in our hobbies or careers, celebrating an awesome moment in the world around us. Sadness arrives conversely when we have to say goodbye to someone who has brought much happiness into our lives, or when we stumble or hit a roadblock in our careers, or something tragic happens in the world. But through each of these instances, both happiness and sadness, we can be content. Indeed, it is true. We can be content during happy times, which may seem easy to do, and during sad times, which may seem impossible and contrary. But it is true in both instances that we can be content. How? Contentment is a state of understanding yourself. It is an awareness of your strengths, your capabilities, your understanding of how to navigate well in the world, no matter what the circumstances are. In other words, contentment is a skill that can be strengthened because you hold the keys, the muscles, so to speak, to either strengthen or to let atrophy. And so at this point, you may be asking, well, how then do I go about cultivating contentment? How do I build this strength that you speak about of contentment? And the good news is, and if you're a longtime podcast listener, you know what I'm going to say, is that contentment has been a central topic of the Simply Luxurious Life destination online here on this podcast for years. And in fact, it is thoroughly examined in my new book, Living the Simply Luxurious Life, Making Your Everydays Extraordinary and Becoming Your Best Self. Contentment is at the heart of enabling our everydays to be extraordinary. So I encourage you to check that book out if you want to go deeper into this. But in the meantime, you can read and listen to posts and episodes from the archives that go into great detail about how contentment can be attained. Here are just 5 of many, and I've listed them, and they're on the show notes right now, the simplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 244. Here they are. 15 everyday habits to live a life of contentment. That was episode 93. Then in episode 100, I share 10 things people who have found contentment understand about uncertainty. And then I wrote a post titled 11 Life Truths About Contentment That Seem Impossible Until We Experience Them. And then in episode 162, we talked about from seeking happiness to cultivating contentment, a shift in pursuit. And then the other one that I've included is episode 181, The Importance of Finding Contentment. Now, most wonderfully, when contentment is achieved, our happy moments become grander and our sad moments more bearable. As well, upon understanding and welcoming true contentment into our lives, we let go of false means of contentment that are really energy or resource zappers and teasers, such as the desire for more and the feeling of lack, which is disguised as a want. True contentment finds us in the now, not gazing at the future. True contentment is a state of mindfulness. Meditation can play a helpful role in training the muscle that is our mind to be present, to not be overrun by our thoughts, and help us to engage fully in the moment without asking for more and simply savoring the now. Which brings me back to the picture that I was talking about at the top of today's episode. I'm going to talk about that picture and why it just stopped me. It stopped me in my tracks as I was walking, because I took a picture, obviously, but it truly was just awe-inspiring. And I'll talk about what that picture really means with regards to today's episode, and I'll be back to talk about the difference of the beginning of trying to figure out how to be content and then what it looks like when we've achieved it. I'll be right back with those after I introduce you to today's sponsors. HelloFresh is a meal kit delivery service that shops, plans, and delivers step-by-step recipes and pre-measured ingredients so you can just cook, eat, and enjoy. If eating well is part of your 2019 resolutions or goals, achieving those is easy as enjoying delicious home-cooked meals with HelloFresh. HelloFresh makes conquering the kitchen in 2019 a reality with deliciously simple recipes. And it's an easy and enjoyable experience. Spend less time meal planning and grocery shopping so you can get that time back to do more of what you love. Make deliciousness a part of your every week. Offering 3 plans to choose from, classic, veggie, and family, with the option to switch between for when your tastes change, you can tailor your experience to your household. Now, I have had the opportunity to try HelloFresh a handful of times and have enjoyed each of the experiences, as it truly does save time. It ensures that I'm eating well, and I do get to have a meal on the table within 30 minutes. Take advantage of HelloFresh's special offer for 2019. Get $80 off your first month by going to HelloFresh.com/sophisticate80 and enter Sophisticate80. Again, get $80 off your first month by going to HelloFresh.com/sophisticate80 and enter Sophisticate80. It's like receiving 8 meals free. Care Of is a monthly subscription vitamin service that delivers completely personalized vitamin and supplement packs right to your door. This year, make health and wellness a top priority with the help of Care Of's monthly subscription vitamin service. Whether you're focused on glowing skin, boosting your energy levels, getting more sleep, or generally being healthy, Care Of's fun online quiz asks you about your diet, health goals, and lifestyle choices and takes only 5 minutes to find out your personal, scientifically backed vitamin and supplement recommendations. It can be really hard to know what vitamins or supplements you should be taking, but Care Of makes it easy to find out what you specifically need to be your healthiest. Track your progress with the Care Of app and earn rewards when you remember to take your vitamins. I can attest the quiz online is very simple and easy to follow. So if you're trying to figure out exactly what you need to reach your goals in particular areas, their quiz will help you do just that. Take advantage of this month's special New Year offer for 50% off your first month of personalized Care Of vitamins. Go to takecareof.com and enter Sophisticate50. Again, visit takecareof.com and enter Sophisticate50 to earn 50% off your first month of personalized Care Of vitamins. Now let's get back into this topic of contentment. I shared with you at the beginning of this episode that I captured an image on my walk with my dog, Norman. The snow had just fallen. It was beautiful and white and cloudy everywhere, but it wasn't still snowing. And then there was this glimpse of blue sky. And that blue sky is synonymous with the contentment that is always possible for us to feel at any given moment, no matter what's going on. This is the trick. Even when we can't see it, blue sky is always there. And this is something that Headspace talks about. So I bring that up because they're the ones who brought it to my attention. And it's true. We understand that the clouds will pass. We understand there is always blue sky behind it. The atmosphere, it's always there. But sometimes when we can't see it, we forget that it's possible to trust that it is there. But it is. And so too can our contentment. Truthfully, contentment is possible wherever and with whomever we are with, but initially it's not easy to build contentment in particular moments until we grasp its gifts. I want to share with you 2 instances when reaching a state of contentment can be difficult initially when you're just getting started trying to figure out what this whole contentment feels like and how to cultivate it. First instance, when we are by ourselves, when we are alone, if we have never truly been by ourselves for a long period of time and enjoyed it, it hasn't gone well. In other words, we've depended upon others to create the excitement and the pleasure of life, then contentment's going to be hard to attain because if we don't know how to cultivate it, it's going to be very uncomfortable. Trust that this is just temporary, but that'll be a difficult moment. The other instance, when we're at the beginning stages of learning how to be content, is when we are with others who are always looking for more, or they're not appreciative of simply the moment that they are in. They're unable to see whatever goodness is available, and they focus on the negative. And we know, especially those of us who have cultivated this, we know there's always something good in every moment. Simply being alive to maneuver through a bad moment to the other side is something to celebrate. So those are the 2 most difficult instances. And I share those for a reason. In a moment, it'll make sense. But just keep in mind that those moments are going to be temporary if you choose to truly cultivate contentment. Contentment begins the moment we wake up, when we realize the little beautiful gifts around us, whether it's the peace and quiet of a safe home, the loved ones sleeping calmly, or having our home to ourselves, seeing the soft snow fall to the ground, blanketing the yard and the neighborhood with a paintbrush of beauty, seeing the first light of day climb above the horizon, hearing the birds begin their business of hellos and chirps. But still, the moments of which I just shared that are outside of us are not what is going to bring us contentment. In fact, when those things happen and we view them that way, their occurrence is not what's making us happy. It's our observation of them, our ability to see them and appreciate them. So in other words, what brings us contentment is being able to find, recognize, and appreciate such moments. Because on the flip side, in those exact same moments, we can easily be noticing instead that we have woke up too early and wish desperately to fall back asleep. We observe the house that we are in and wish that we had cleaned up a bit more. Or we may bemoan the fact that our home is full and there's too much to do for others and not enough time for ourselves. Or we bemoan the fact that we are waking up alone. Or we remember that it's a day of the week that is full of tasks that we are not thrilled to tend to. Or we begin to wish it wasn't snowing because we will have to drive in it. Or we lament that the sun is about to come up because we want to sleep a bit more. You see, it's all about our engagement with the world and how we do that. Contentment comes from our choice of choosing to recognize the power we have each day to engage in such a way that will open the doors of opportunity to a positive energy. Contentment doesn't guarantee seemingly much, but upon closer examination, it guarantees a much more fulfilling life that can be savored every single day of our lives. It makes sure that so long as we are in the situation, we will find goodness. We will find the opportunity. We will make the day better simply by the attitude we bring to it. That energy has a direct effect on our overall well-being, and if we are sharing the moment with others, it will have a positive effect on them, whether they understand it initially or not. Now let's go back to those two instances I mentioned earlier that initially are difficult with regards to finding contentment. So being by ourselves and then being with others who haven't yet welcomed contentment into their lives. Once you know who you are, you begin to savor days and moments to yourself, because being alone doesn't mean you fear what you will find in your own company. In fact, you revel in it. Now, back in 2011, I wrote a post called Revel in Solitude, and it breaks down how to truly enjoy that time you get to have to yourself and with yourself. And then one of my most popular episodes of this podcast, episode 33, is how to live alone well. And it breaks it down even further for far less temporary moments when you're by yourself, where it's regular and you've chosen it or not, how to truly elevate it. Now, spending time with people, with regards to the second point, becomes a joy because you begin to realize the power of the type of people you surround yourself with. You are thoughtful about who you spend your time, and you communicate clear boundaries. And when you do not have a choice over who you spend your time with, whether it's at work or family functions, things like that, you steady yourself to limit the interactions and make sure that they go as well as possible. Listen to episode 92 if you want to dive deeper into how to do exactly this, because the topic is all about the elements of a strong social well-being and how we interact and engage with the world and then cultivate our social relationships. And so if you're curious as to how to navigate those situations, take a look at that podcast episode or read the show notes. That's episode 92. The gift of contentment is priceless, and it's also free. You don't have to buy one more thing. In fact, you may want to let go of some things. You simply need to understand how to focus on understanding how to cultivate contentment and let go of the pursuit of happiness. Because truly, our happiness, our happy moments are elevated even more when we know how and practice contentment every single day. Now, I've provided, again, a lot of links on today's episode, so if you want to check them out on the show notes, feel free to visit thesimplyluxuriouslife.com/podcast 244, and I will be right back with this week's Petite Plaisir. This week's Petite Plaisir, I was kind of going back and forth on what I wanted to share with this week's Petite Plaisir. But I have been so pleased with this find that I wanted to share. And as you guys know, I'm a planner, and I know many of you guys are as well. And I even have planning pages available on the blog for digital with all sorts of Inslee illustrations to add a touch of artwork. And I'm continually trying to figure out what works best for me and all that I need to carry and remember and keep organized. And so I came across, just by complete chance, this company called Poquito, Poketo, and they're based in Los Angeles, and it's a husband and wife team. They founded the company in 2003, and their primary focus is that it's a lifestyle brand born out of the desire to infuse the everyday with aesthetic intentionality. And so they've created goods, starting with stationery and wallets, and now if there's some even clothing, but it's primarily home goods or office supplies that create or help create a design-conscious approach to a creative lifestyle. And so they're highly functional creations, but also have a touch of signature to them. And uniquely enough, the name of their company was inspired by one of their mothers and how one of their mothers pronounced pocket. She said Poquito, and so they loved the way she said it, and they kept it for the name of their company, which I think is adorable. But I purchased their concept planner and their project planner, partly because I'm curious to try new things. And the other part, it was beautiful and it was streamlined and it was simple. And I thought, I think that might work for what I need to get done. And I want to keep so many different ideas in one place, make it easily accessible. Now, and I chose one of their planners that was actually on sale just to give it a one shot to save some money. And I love it. So I went back and bought 3 more. So I'm stocked for years. But for my business purpose, I love it. So if you are someone who's organizing a lot of different ideas, entrepreneurs, or just in your daily life with your family or your friends or your projects, I think you will really like the project planner. Concept planner is a great day planner that is simplified and small. It's not too large. No artwork. The covers, there's multiple colors of covers. They're very sturdy, but also they are paper. They don't have a fancy cover, although they do sell one leather cover for their planners. If you prefer, I don't have that one. But I would encourage you to check it out. They have some other beautiful office supplies, reasonable prices. I think I paid $22 for the concept planner and just a few dollars more for the project planner. And they're for an entire year. They have the entire year available. But again, I love the concept. We're still in January. We still have 11 months of 2019. And that's the other thing. They don't have dates on them. So you can buy them at any time of the year. And you have 12 months in front of you, whatever time of year you get them. So you get to put the dates on them. That's kind of nice. You can kind of style it yourself. I think just knowing for me that I have my ideas, I have a home for my ideas, enables me to let go and then focus on finding new ideas or focus on the day, being present, being content, and letting what wants to be shared with me come, and I can enjoy that. So again, that's what's worked for me. It's a simple pleasure because I love looking at it. Number one, it's beautiful, but more importantly, it's highly functional for what I need in my day-to-day life. So that's Poquito, Poketo.com. Check out all the different things that they make available. And again, this is entirely not sponsored. I just want to make sure very clear about that. I found them by chance. They don't know I'm doing this. This is just something that I wanted to share with you because I think you will, I thought you might be interested. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's Petite Plaisir, where each week ideas are shared to make the everyday all the more enjoyable. Tune in at the end of each Monday's podcast where I'll recommend a book, a film, or a recipe. Anything that is a simple pleasure to satiate your sophisticated taste. Thank you for tuning in today and wishing you a wonderful week. Bonne journée. Thank you for tuning in to the Simple Sophisticate podcast, where intelligent living is paired with signature style. For more ideas and inspiration throughout the week, visit the blog, thesimplyluxuriouslife.com, or pick up my new book, Living the Simply Luxurious Life, Making Your Everydays Extraordinary and Discovering Your Best Self. You can also pick up my first book, Choosing the Simply Luxurious Life, A Modern Woman's Guide, which is available now in paperback, ebook, and audio versions on Amazon, Audible, and iTunes, or wherever books are sold. To stay caught up on the most recent episodes of the podcast, blog posts, my new cooking show, and receive exclusive news as well as an extra dose of inspiration to jumpstart your weekend, subscribe to the Simply Luxurious Life's weekly newsletter, which arrives in your inbox each Friday to enjoy with a hot cup of tea or a morning cup of coffee. Until next Monday, I'm your host, Shannon Ables. Bonne journée!